What is up, Wholesale to Million family? Happy Monday. We're back with subscriber first wholesale deal interview. Today, I got this young lady representing the ladies to give you guys some inspiration, some motivations. And she just recently closed her first virtual wholesale deal. So Carla started out, she does the whole fix and flip, but she did her first virtual wholesale deal, made what, Carla, 9G?
Yeah, almost 9G. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I think it's 9,800 and something dollar. Now, Carla's from Virginia, and then she wholesale in a completely different states, Pennsylvania. So I'm gonna let her share with you guys your stories, and then also leading into this first virtual deal. It'll be a great story, you guys. So if you enjoy this, video, if it add value to you, please be sure to show me, my guests, some love. Smash the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the Wholesale to Million family, but smash that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notification so when I upload a new video or when I get some good information that I share with you guys, you'll be able to notify. So, Carla, I'm going to hand it over to you for those. Can you share a little bit about your background, your stories, and then we can kind of talk about that first virtual deal?
Yeah, definitely. So I went to college, got my 4-year degree, did accounting, got to work for the Big Four, the accounting Big Four back then. Never really liked accounting. I just kind of had to pick a major, and I said, why not do accounting? People make money in it, so let's do that. Never really loved it. I always knew that I didn't like working for other people. I always wanted to be my own boss. So I really hated going to work, to be honest. Every day, waking up early, I didn't like that. So, and also when I first started, it was mandatory that during tax season, January through April, I think we had to work like 50-hour work weeks, no matter what. It was required because it was tax season. So I didn't like that at all. Then one day I got something in the mail. I got a postcard in the mail, and it said, real estate investing, at this hotel, come check us out. So I went to the hotel, sat down. It was probably about 35, 40 people. And the guy that was on the actual postcard wasn't there. He just sent speakers to come and talk to you. And I didn't know who this guy was. I didn't know anything about real estate. And it was actually Russ Whitney, who sent the postcard. And at the end of the seminar, they said, oh yeah, it only costs like $35,000, go to the back to sign up. And people would just got up and ran to the back. And I'm like, I'm not spending $35,000 to do a seminar. I'm like, I'm not even sure if this is something I want to do. So I said, okay, I'll go and check out his book, because they said he had a book. So I went to the library because I didn't want to spend the money to buy the book. So I went to the library, checked it out, read the whole thing. And I said, okay, this is interesting. I like this. This is something that I want to, maybe start to do. In the book, it said that you have to believe and say that you're a real estate investor, even though you're starting out. So shortly after that, a couple months later, I ended up getting some other postcard in the mail. Now, this was back in 2007 when I started. I got another postcard from Ivanka Trump that she was doing a seminar at one of the hotels here. So I said, okay, let me check this out. Went over there, and it just so happened that right next to me was a husband and wife. And the wife turns to me, she's like, what do you do? And I said, I'm a real estate investor. Had no idea what I was doing or talking about. And she said, oh, she was like, my husband's a mentor. We're both real estate investors. And I said, oh, and then they told me about the RIA. They said, you should come this month, check out the RIA. I checked it out. And long story short, I ended up hiring them as my mentors because I needed guidance. I didn't know what I was doing. Back then, it was way different. It was much cheaper back then than it was now. So I decided to join. And then I did my first deal 5 months later. I did it was a fire damage property. That was actually in Maryland. So it took me about an hour to get there. So that was my first property. And then I flipped that one. And I think I made like about $75,000 in that property.
75G?
Yeah, on that first one, yeah.
How long did it took you, Carla?
That one took me about to rehab, because it was my first time. It took me 5 months to rehab that because it was fire damage and I had no idea what I was doing. And I was just kind of learning as I was going along.
Carla, actually, that is not bad at all, because that's actually not bad at all. I remember one of my rehab, it took over a year, and probably it's also a fire damaged property where I fixed it, but it took me over a year. And I've already done like, I think I've already done like 2 or 3 flip already at the time. So for you, your first one, fire damage, and it took you 5 months to actually made, that's pretty good. And now for those that don't, I actually want to say this, for those probably don't know this, but I went to Maryland and visit Carla, and we hang out at the RIA many times. Lon and I really likes her. She's a great person and super go-giver. So I know that she's always open to helping people and all that. So yeah, okay, go ahead and continue, Carla. Sorry.
Yeah, so that was basically it. I did the first flip, and then after that, back then my mindset was, I want to flip because I want to make the big money, you know.
Yeah.
And now that I look back, I'm like, why did I do that? Because my mentor's thing was really wholesaling. But I was like, no, I want to make the big money. I want to flip. And it wasn't that hard for me to flip. It just takes so much time. And I mean, I live and breathe Home Depot. And I was my GC on my job because, of course, I didn't want anybody else to get the money. So I was the GC, and I was subbing everything out. And the guys would call me. They'd be like, we need more paint. And I'm like, oh, gosh. So I would just run to Home Depot, and then the houses are in D.C. So depending where in D.C. they are, and I'm in Northern Virginia, it takes me about 40, 50 minutes to get there, depending how far they are from me. So it was just a lot of running around. And I honestly got tired after the last few years. Yeah.
So for those that don't believe that, hey, Khang, that I actually do the business, well, guess what? I was, Carla kind of know, like I started from, Carla know that I went out there, visited my mentor, hung out with her, and at the time we were trying to learn the whole flipping game and all that. And I tell you, seeing Carla, seeing the way that she hustled, and we went to one of her projects, seeing like I saw your hustle, Carla, and it motivates me and it pumps me up. And I said, man, this girl out here making it happen, doing it. So I want to say thank you for inspiring me. I appreciate it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because you inspire me. That's why I reached out to you for virtual wholesaling when I decided to switch over. I'm like, who else could do it better? Nobody else could do it better than Khang. So I was like, I want guidance. So yeah, you motivate me.
I appreciate it. Yeah, the whole Home Depot game, Carla, it's, oh my gosh, wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, same thing. My whole thing is, hey, I'm not gonna hire a GC, you know, I got this taken care of. I want that money, right? So basically subbing everything out and working with subcontractor, you know, running to Home Depot, dealing with the city, a permit and all that. For those of you who's into the flipping game, man, it's a headache. I'm just not good at it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, like now, Carla, so your mentor was actually a wholesaler, not a flipper.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Oh, but you didn't want to make the baby money. You want to make the big girl money.
That's right. Yeah.
Got it. So Carla, let's talk about your transitions of how you decided to go from just stop the flipping and then going into wholesaling instead.
I think I was just tired of all the ripping and running, and I flipped a lot of properties, and of course you make a lot of money, you make big money, but you also sometimes lose money in some of the properties because, you know, I might say, okay, I'm gonna do an extension here to add some square footage, and my numbers just might not have been right. So, you know, I end up maybe losing money sometimes. So that's not fun because when you look back and you're like, I have busted my butt running back and forth, cutting the grass at the houses, you know, hauling wood in my pickup truck. I'm like, a lot of work for what? Just to lose a couple $1,000. It's tiring. It's not worth it.
So that was kind of like it point for you, Carla.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I would still flip, but I would be very particular in a specific neighborhood, and they're like cookie cutter houses where I'm already comfortable with, and I know exactly how much I would spend.
Oh yeah, like cosmetic, but not like the major one. Yep, same here. Yep. So now, so Carla, let's talk about your first virtual deal. So let's talk about like how do you found it, and all that?
Okay, so I ended up pulling a list through, I used PropStream to pull the list. And I did not vacant properties, I'm sorry. I did non-owner occupied properties is what I focused on. And I pulled that list and I started cold calling, which I was afraid to cold call. I don't know why now that I look back at it, but I know a lot of people, it's just that fear. And it's funny because when I would look for my other properties to flip, I would get phone calls from the direct mail. And of course you have people cussing you out and, you know, threatening you, and I'm going to call the FBI and all this stuff, of course. So, but I was afraid to cold call still.
So, okay. So, Carla, so let me ask you this question. Since you just kind of passed that stage, for those that are afraid to cold call, let me ask you, what was it that you are afraid of?
I guess I was afraid of somebody yelling at me, somebody cussing me out. That's really what I was. It wasn't the rejection because I'm already used to the rejection.
Yep.
But I think it was just people being mean to me. That's what I was afraid.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, how did you get over that?
So I have a friend. He lives in Maryland, and he was kind of like my accountability partner. So he actually said, okay, you know, let's set some goals. And he said, okay, how many phone calls do you think you can make in a day? Okay, then he increased and he's like, I want this, you know, by this time. So I said, okay. He was like, I'm going to meet up with you every week to check up on you. So I'm like, Dad, he's holding my feet to the fire. Like he's actually taking time out of his day to come and meet with me and have lunch and catch up. So I felt obligated to, you know, to deliver. And I gave him my word. So I wanted to make sure I delivered.
Awesome. Carla, that is a really good point that you just point out. Oh my goodness, not my internet again. Man, Carla, I think it's the internet. You kind of froze a little bit, but I'm gonna wait until it hits back up again here. But I think there's some really good stuff in here. Man. My goodness. Carla, can you hear me? Probably not, because you froze, or I froze, I'm sorry. And this is killing me. It's killing me slowly. Anyways, hold on a second. Let me text Carla really quick. I don't know if it's me. Not sure if it's me. If I'm still recording, I don't know. Carla just got kicked off. If I am still here, there's some really good point in here that Carla just point out. A lot of you, what you do is you might need an accountable partner because it's hard for you to push yourself, right? To actually do it, to get over that hump, to get over that fear. I remember, the wife, she's trying to stay in shape and all of that. And when she hired a trainer, and her trainers, she got to be there. She got to be at the gym at that day, that time to meet up with her trainer. Same thing with whatever Carla just said. Someone her holds accountable. So she couldn't let him down. You froze on my end. Oh man. So Carla's gonna try. Yeah. So but the things you guys gotta understand, like you have to be able to self-motivate yourself. Okay. If it's your goal, it's your dream. If you don't want it, that's bad. Like if you don't want it, you can't expect someone else, right? But maybe some of you need a little push. You need a little of that accountability to keep you. Carla's jumping back on here. But that is a good point that Carla's point out, is having an account. Carla, you there? Carla, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Oh my goodness. So, Carla, it must be my internet, but I was just talking and letting people know that what you just mentioned, there's a great point there, is having an accountable, right, partners that is going to basically hold you accountable, because a lot of you, maybe you're afraid to do, you're trying to get over that fear, that hump, and it's hard for you to do it alone, and maybe you need that little extra push.
Right.
And I was telling them, when Lana's trying to, lose weight and staying fit, it's hard for her to sometimes push herself to go to the gym. So when she hire a trainer, that day, that time, she knows she had to sew up. If she doesn't, obviously, she's letting someone else's down.
Right.
And also too, is I do want to point this out before you guys miss this. Carla did mention that she pulls the list to use prop streams. So if you guys want to check that out, the link is right below. Use my promo code WTM. You get a 7 days free trial. If you don't like it, no string attached. We've been using them for years. I love them. They're really good. And she pulls what is called a high equity absentee owner, which is non-owned occupy. Right, Carla?
Yeah, correct. Yes.
All right, Carla, if you can continue from there.
So I just started making my phone calls, and then I said, well, you know what, let me try add something else. So I said, something a little bit faster. So I said, let me send out some text messages. So I went ahead, and the people that I didn't contact, I went ahead and shot them a text. And then after that, I did a follow-up again. And that's when I ended up having somebody respond back to me and say, hey, can you give me a call? Let's talk about this.
Awesome. So Carlos, just to give people some time frame, so that way they don't understand, that way people know that this is not a get rich quick. I definitely don't want, there's so many people putting content out there. My whole thing is I definitely want people to know how real and how raw and how much time, patience, and work it actually takes to actually succeed in this business. So let's get some time frame, Carla. So when did you decided the whole virtual wholesaling?
I wanted to wholesale in October.
Okay, October 2019?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And then I didn't start making phone calls until right before Christmas.
Okay, December, let's just say that, okay.
Yep, and then that's when I started making my phone calls, and then I started texting probably about February.
Okay.
And then in May is when I ended up getting that seller.
Okay. And how many days, Carl, how many days are you, I guess, days and time that you're putting out to put in the work?
Okay, it wasn't consistent. The phone calls were not, at the beginning, it wasn't consistent. I would say from February until May, that's when I was more consistent.
Okay.
But I would do 5 days a week, but honestly, I would only do like 2 hours a day.
Okay. Got it. So basically a lot of times people, Carl asks, so how many calls do I have to make? Like how many hours do I put out? And can I do this part-time? The answer is yes, you can do this part-time. And also too, is the more hours you put into your business or side hustle, whatever you want to call it, right? The quicker you're going to get the results. And it's different for everybody. You have some people, you have a job, you have other priorities that you have to do. But Carla just mentioned the key word is being consistent. It's the consistency. A lot of people think, Carla, that they can go hard. Oh, no problem. I can put out 8 hours a day or 7 hours or whatever. And then they go really hard, but then they burn out after 30 days and then they don't see results within that 30 days. They give up. It's consistency. It's the habit. It's the day in and day out that you're doing every single day. And then eventually that's how you see results. And Carla said this is the key. Another thing that Carla mentioned too is this is coming from a follow-up. A lot of you are underestimating follow-ups. We went to a mastermind. It said 60 to 70% of your deals is going to come from follow-up. So now, Carla, so let's talk about that. So the seller reached out to you, and then what?
And then, I gave him a call, and we spoke, and he started telling me that you froze again. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Oh, okay.
We're good.
Okay,
I'm
good.
so sorry, you guys. Yeah, I honestly don't know why I bought these things, Carla, the internet connections for like almost, I think it's 200 and something.
I have one of those. They
Yeah,
were good for me.
yeah, I honestly don't know what it is too. It's maybe because where I live, but maybe today I might have to even go and exchange a router. Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyways, Carla, go ahead. And for those of you who's watching, and Carla too, I really apologize.
What are we talking about? Oh,
Yeah.
so he reached out. Yeah. So I called him. I called him, and we started talking on the phone. And he told me how he had to sell this house. The tenant was originally going to purchase the property, but she decided not to purchase it anymore. So he said, you know, I told him. He said he wanted how much? 100,000 for the property, is what he said he wanted, and he wanted to get 90,000 was going to go to the mortgage, and he wanted to keep 10,000 to be able to pay taxes and things like that. So 100,000 was his number. I said, okay, took down some information, told him I'd get back to him. The next day I gave him a call, and looking at the comps, properties around there were going about 135,000.
ARV.
Yeah. And if you fix it up even more, you can get it can go up
Yep.
higher. So I said, okay, what can I do with this property? Buying it at $100,000. And then he said, and then I was trying to figure out ways I can't wholesale it. I said, because wholesalers, it's too skinny of a deal. They're not going to be able to do anything with it, but maybe somebody will buy it. I said, then the other thing was, can I buy that subject to? And so I asked him, I said, what is your mortgage? And he said, my mortgage is $1,400 a month. And I said, how much do you get in rent? He says $1,100 a month. And I said, so you're coming out of pocket every month? He said, yes. He said, every month for, $300 is coming out of pocket. So I knew I couldn't assume the mortgage. So I said, okay, I'm thinking maybe I could do it to a retail buyer. It was what I was thinking I could sell it to. So I said, okay. I tried to talk him down and negotiate it down, but he wasn't budging because of the mortgage he needed to pay off, and he wanted the extra money. So I ended up put it on the contract for $100,000.
Now, Carla, I'm sorry. Do you know what the mortgage was?
He said it was 90,000 was the
Okay.
mortgage that was
Got
due.
it.
Mm-hmm. So then I put it under contract, and he said, okay, I'll give you a week. Because I told him, oh, sorry, let me backtrack. I told him that I needed to get inside the property. And at this time, it was still the whole, COVID thing. People really weren't letting, people go into their houses and things like that. So I said, you know what, let me get it under contract, and I'm going to send out one of my videographers out there so I can go ahead and get a video. Because I was thinking, if I want to wholesale this thing, or if I want to put on MLS, let me get a walkthrough video so people can actually see, because I don't know, back in May, if people are going to be able to go inside the house or anything like that. So I wanted to do a virtual tour. So I ended up getting it under contract, and then he said, I'll give you a week, to make the final decision. Because I said, I need to see how the property is, the condition, to see if it was accurate what he was telling me. Because he was telling me, oh, it's in great condition, and the tenants keep it up really well. But I figured everybody says that, and then at the end, you always have to put more money into it. So I ended up sending out the videographer, and he sent it back to me. And when I got it, it was actually very well kept, and the tenants were very clean. So I figured, okay, what can I do with this property? So immediately I sent it out to all my wholesalers in that area. Everybody was like, it's too much money. It just doesn't work for us. I was hoping somebody would buy it, for a rental using the 1% rule, but I figured, that might be a long shot. Then I said, okay, he gave me a week to finalize this decision if I wanted to go through with the contract. So I decided to go ahead and talk to him and say, you know what, I'm not the right buyer for this. I said, but I do have other investors and friends that might be interested in it. And then I asked him, I said, can I list this property on MLS to get it more exposure? And he said, sure. He said, do whatever you want. So I went ahead and listed it on MLS, and that's when I increased the price to $115,000. And then on MLS, I made sure to state that the buyer was responsible for the transfer taxes and all the other settlement fees and things like that. So I ended up putting it on the market, and about day 9, I ended up getting a contract on it, because compared to what had been sold on MLS, it was 115 was a low price.
Mhm.
And the buyer ended up being a first-time home buyer, and it was a single mom. So she ended up purchasing the property. That was basically it. Oh, well, he had tenants in it, so
Right.
we had to give time for the tenants to move out and things like that. And I think the problem with him was he was very he always worried a lot about things. So
Yes.
throughout this process, I had to do a lot of hand holding. I noticed that every week he would say, hey, can you give me a call, once a week, let me know what's going on. So I knew at that point that it'd be a lot of hand holding, so I would keep him updated on everything throughout the process. And he was really grateful at the end. And I think he said, I won't believe it until, I get my money and I sign. Then I will believe that, this is real. He said, because he couldn't believe that we actually met via text, complete strangers,
Yeah.
and that I helped him close the property, and he was happy about it at the end.
Yeah, so you guys, Carla sent me a message. What the seller said is probably it's the sweetest message that the sellers was thankful and all of that. It's actually a very good testimonial for Carla. Now, there's some really good stuff that Carla points out in this video. There's so much nuggets. Carla just also mentions that follow up with the seller. I just made a $15,000 mistake. And even being long in the game, I made a mistake for not keeping the seller up to date. The closing was supposed to happen next week, but I dropped the ball because I got so much other stuff that's gone on. I know I got my VA and stuff like that too, but the seller wants to deal with me. He wants to talk to me, right? Because I'm the one who talks to him and all that, and he doesn't want to deal with anybody else. And I dropped the ball for not giving him up to dates. I could have handled the situation a lot better. So basically what Carla just mentioned there is communication. You've got to make sure that you update your seller, whether you have got a buyers or you don't find one or whatever it is. Just give them a nice polite call or text message saying, hey Carla, I just want to give you a quick update. We're still working on finding that contractor, setting the time to show the property, or to have them walk through the property, or to have them inspect the property, whatever it is that you need to do to let them know, right? And then next week, if you still haven't found one, hey, just to let you know, we're still working on it with the whole COVID. Things are a little bit tough, but I do want to let you know that we are trying to keep things moving along. So keep communication clear with your seller and with your buyers. You don't just want to go silent, because a lot of time when you go silent, sellers don't know what's going on. They get all worried, they get all concerned, because they're like, well, am I getting scammed? What is going on here? I never heard anything from them once I signed the purchase and sell agreement. Very, very, very important, you guys. Build that rapport, keep in contact and communication. Make sure it's clear. So Carl, that's some really good point that you point out. But I have a question with the seller. I'm just very curious. If the mortgage is $90,000, I'm not sure how his monthly payment is $1,400.
He said it was like 8-point-something%,
Whew.
something like that. And I
Is
said,
it through the bank or is it?
no, it was the bank. It was a bank. I don't know what he did, because he bought it long time ago. And he was like, you know what? I should, because he moved out of it a year before and had this renter come in for the year. And I said, he said, I should have refinanced it when I moved out of it. And I was like, yeah, because then maybe I could have, done a subject too, but, it was just too much.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times sellers could have done, he could have done a refi, obviously bring it way down, and he could have cash flowed this thing, no problem. Okay, so anyways, for those of you, hopefully that this is clear. So Carla did some text messaging. I think a lot of people want to know. So what do you use for text messaging, Carla?
I was using Lead Sherpa.
Okay. Yeah, that's who we use too, and it works. They work really, really well. And so for those of you, now Carla, I do want to ask you is that how do you why didn't you, because I know that you were in the class and we're talking about why you didn't decide to pick Virginia to wholesale, but why you wholesale in a different state?
Well, Virginia, when I first started way back then, and I would actually send out mailers to Northern Virginia, I noticed, and maybe things have changed now, they might have, this was back in '07, people weren't really selling their houses with the numbers where I needed them to be, where I was taught to use the mail formula, which back then was, I think, 65%, something like that, 65, 70. So they weren't selling their houses that low around here. And that's kind of why I went to DC and I started doing flipping there. But I actually just wanted to just go to a different area. So.
And Carl, the reason I ask that, because I know a lot of people, you know, they're in a certain market where the price point's too high, 600, 800,000, half a million, $1 million, $2 million dollar house. Like, these are high ends, and it's really hard, to me anyway, when you're starting out, you know, stick with the bread and butter, the $100,000 to $300,000 price. You know, anything that's half a million and above, not saying that you can't wholesale them. I'm just saying that it's a little bit tougher, because not a whole lot, you won't find a whole lot of cash buyer, right? So your pool of cash buyer is going to be a lot less. Not a whole lot of people have $1 million plus in the bank account to actually make a purchase. So Carla, in Virginia, I think we chat about this on the web class, but could you remind me what was kind of the ARV? Was it high end stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, normally the ARV is more, it's high up there. Yeah.
Like what?
It's like, maybe depending which area you're in, it might be like if it might be $500,000.
Yeah.
It's 400 up, $500,000 on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So those of you, if you're in an area that is like that, what you need to do is search for other county or city or whatever it is, right, that are in a lower price range. Carla decided, I know Carla went on the web class with me, and she's like, I just want to be in a completely different state. And that's why we decided to pick Pennsylvania for her. And I'm glad that it actually works out for you, Carla. I'm obviously extremely happy for you. You're definitely a massive action taker.
Compose again.
Carla, I lost you. So Carla, my question to you is, if you guys, anyone, and with Carla and anyone that's watching, I'm really, really sorry. I'm really, really sorry. I really try to do everything I can with the internet, try and get the best that I can. And I will still continue to work on it. But Carla, are you going to continue to stay in Pennsylvania?
I will, yeah.
What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Good, good. Yeah. Now, Carla, let's wrap this up. So for those that are starting out, you know, because you mentioned getting mentorship and all that, and I know not everybody needs it and all that. So for those that are starting out, obviously they watch the free content and all of that, or they haven't done their first deal yet, or they're thinking about, you know, going virtual. What are your tips or your advice or some stuff that you learn along the way that you can share?
I think that all the free content, it's out there. Like, if you go through your videos, for instance, from, you know, early on from the beginning, I mean, you give all the information out there, and it's just really just having to take action and actually just stick with it. And like you said before, you just can't give up. It is frustrating, you know, like right now I am cold calling, and it does get frustrating after a while. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you still have to keep, you know, doing the numbers, and just eventually you'll get the sale. You just have to keep at it, pounding the phones or sending a text message, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. So I just want to add to that, to let you guys know that whatever it is that you're making. Oh man, it froze again, Carla. It froze again, Carla. Oh man, this is killing me. Oh man. Oh man, it froze again. Oh man, Carla, can you jump back on? Let me get her back on again. Hey, Angeline, so let the seller knows that obviously we can provide him some help for free. So we can help him, we can provide him some help, some manpower. Also too is, you know, if he needs an extra 30 days or 60 days or whatever it is that he needs to get the stuff out or whatever or move, we can certainly work with him on that. So let him know that. Carla, oh my goodness. All right, you guys, so I'm thinking we're just gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Carla, I want to say congrats, but let's just say for those that who wants to reach out and connect with you and all that, how can they find you?
I was going to create an Instagram account. I completely forgot. Okay, I'm going to create it and then I'll have you send, I'll create it today and then I'll send you I'll text you the name.
The link?
The link.
Okay, so, or the name, whatever it is. So I'll make sure I'll put Carla Instagram account name right below so you guys can connect with her. Like I said, she's extremely she's like, Lon and I hang out with her a couple times and we really enjoy her. She's a super go-giver. So if you guys have any questions or anything like that, I'm sure that she's more than happy to help you guys out. But anyways, you guys, we're gonna wrap this up because otherwise the internet's gonna get cut out again. So I want to say thank you so much, Carla, for taking your time to jump on to share this the information. I think there's some really good stuff that you have shared in this video. And a lot of times what you guys need to focus on is not getting all the, like, you don't need to get everything. You just need to figure out one thing or take away or nuggets that you need to get from this and then just start implementing and just little by little, your business is going to change, right? And hopefully it'll help you get towards that first deal. For those of you who recently closed your first wholesale deal, please, you can follow me on Instagram, hit me up on IG, go to Khang, Khang, dot, like a period, WTM. Shoot me a DM, send me a picture of the checks just to verify, and then I'd love to get you onto the channel so you can share your stories. And the whole goal is to inspire and motivate everyone that haven't got their first deal to let them know that it is possible and it's possible for anyone that's willing to put in the work and stay committed. So thank you guys for watching. Until next time, take care, Carla. Ciao.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Bye, Carla.
Bye.